So I'm gonna kick back and relax for a bit, but I'm seeing some videos come out lately about people and where they stand on the whole like professional wrestling subject, and not so much wrestling, but so much if YouTube, WWE, and like just general life in general. Out of everyone that's on here, I'm like probably the one guy I'm not that well known. I don't have that many subscribers. I I don't do this just for I don't like anyone else. It's like, oh, fame, fortune, whatever. There's no fortune really in YouTube, unless you're really successful. Um, More or less, it's like I've always said this before. I'm talking in front of a camera to all of you to get all my thoughts out there. Going back, like I don't have the biggest collection of everyone else. Um, some people do this; they put in the time. I don't care if it's a direct upload or not. People are like, oh, you don't. It's like you getting shit for bad editing mistakes, or you don't you call it an unboxing, but really it's you just have tickets in an envelope here for a show you're going to. Like I'm going to SmackDown in a week. Um, it's like little things like that, and then as well, like you look at everything like with personal life as well. Like for example, I know Ravi just did a video about this, and over the last year, I've gotten to know him on a personal level that I didn't really think I was going to know him on. Like we eventually, him, Justin, and I, the three of us, found common ground on something that's not wrestling. Like sure, it gets talked about sometimes when we're around, and it's the focal point of why we're all friends. Like even like it's the reason we're brought together, but at the same time too, like we go out, we do other things, we go to the movies, we hang out, we do whatever, all in our spare time, like when we're ever not working or that. Like all of us work, we like wrestle. Like the people who you see on here and around, like on Twitter, whatever, who dedicate their lives to wrestling, who like every Monday are vocal, tweeting about it. It's like, like I remember there was a point when I first really started get like I was around 2004, 2005 is when I started watching, but I wasn't really that into like not that into it, but like I would watch it and it's like all right, whatever, yeah, you're a fan. But 2007 is really when shit started to pick up, and from 2007 till about 2012 was when the first 5 years basically was I would purposely lie to people to get Mondays off, and like the friends basically say, yeah, I'm busy, but really I was right here watching Raw or well SmackDown didn't do as much, but I would record it and then watch it. Even the same thing too. Like there's pay per views as well. Like I remember some pay per views that you missed, and it's like it's killing you inside because you want to be watching it, but you have to be somewhere else, and you're not like basically you're being held against it if in order to go and watch that. Um, and even so too, like I remember that time in high school because like I was I'm gonna be honest and speak from the heart. Like I was a kid that was like I had some problems in high school. Like I it was like everyone has sort of being made fun of too. I was being fun of as well, and this like high school is when my wrestling fandom really peaked, and I wanted to keep quiet about because like when you hear like the stories about oh you watch WWE like I didn't know how people were gonna take it or if it would just get added onto it. Basically like oh you watch wrestling oh you like you know. And then eventually once I got out and around 2013 2014 is when I started getting comfortable and basically being like you know what I don't care what people think I'm a wrestling fan like why do I have to hide that. um, but as well during that time, whenever this happened for me probably about 2007 to about 2013, where Monday night on Monday, say if I was having a bad day or something wasn't going right or I was just down, I knew that like Mondays was only people saying I hate Mondays. I always loved Mondays because I knew Raw was coming on. I knew Raw was kind of like an escape. Like wrestling, I've always found to be an escape from reality. You're having a bad time, something's going wrong in your life, whatever. You watch wrestling and it makes it feel better. But then now you're starting to learn where it's not always no. Like if you follow me on Instagram or anything, I go to a shitload of sporting games. Like I go to basically the same amount of sporting events that say half the guys who go to the WWE events do. At the same time, too, I feel like why would I have to go to that many sporting events? Like how could you go to that many events? I understand the love and the passion for it, but all the traveling and everything, I feel like after a while, it gets to the point of like, why am I doing this? And then even so, like Breach in his video touched pinpoint accuracy with this of saying sure WrestleMania is a fun time and whatever, but it's one like when you realize about it, like I was living and like you're still living out the trip and everything. It's like oh my god, it was so great. It's 1 week of the year. You build the build up to it, but when you get home, you get swept into reality immediately. People still have that high from the trip or whatever, and it's kind of like oh yeah, like I remember, I went out for dinner and then Justin was there and I was like oh yeah, remember the last time I saw you and we're like yeah. I was like there because sometimes on those trips honestly when it gets here it's exciting when you're leaving it's over but then sometimes you're at the same time you're just like I just want to get home like literally. And after that week's done you see everyone in the airport, everyone goes back and does their own things, everyone goes back to their own world, everyone goes back to work, everyone does their own thing, takes vacation, other vacations. For example, like I was just at a music festival, but at the same time too, like with Raw and stuff, it's not like pay-per-views are different. Like pay-per-views, try to watch as many as I can live. Like I think I've missed two. I missed three. I have missed three three that I can think of in the last calendar year that I didn't watch. That was Payback 2015 because I was in Europe. TLC 2015 because of Patriots. Patriots sports will always take precedence over WWE. Why? Because WWE is on 52 weeks a year. It's brought up every day. Meanwhile, football is only on 17 weeks of the year. I know that's still a long time, and for me being a New England fan, it usually goes into at least 18. But at the same time, too, it's kind of like, okay, the football game's on, but at the same time, pay-per-view's on. Football's winning because I know I can go back and watch the pay-per-view because football, it's a little harder to watch back all the time. Pay-per-views, too, you can skip it and only watch the good things. That's the thing with me, too. I've been like this for a while where if something disinterests me and I'm watching a recorded show, I'm going to skip it. I don't care about it. Sometimes it's only the main focal points of the show you truly want to watch. Like, what's the other example? I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to put words, like, make words come out of my mouth. WWE, it's a fun thing. Like, I've made some great friends. People, like, all over doing this. Like, with SummerSlam 2014 example, like, I went out, TJ and I just went out to LA thinking nothing of it. Ended up making me and the Lorenzos now who we call very close friends, even though they live. It's a 8-hour drive from us. Like, they're pretty far away, but we still, like, I talk to them all the time too. But it's like not the whole thing about talking to them. It's like, oh, they're not just there. Like I'll talk sports with them, other things like wrestling sure comes up here and there, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter. Like wrestling's not all the time. Like I never thought I would get that close to like people. Like it's YouTube. Like someone I met on YouTube, I went to WrestleMania with this year. That's kind of like I can see where like the other guys get it from, but like I never experienced that. And then even going into and then I'm just gonna go on to WrestleMania now with next year. I know so many people coming off basically. Some people with WrestleMania after 31 were so on the hype train saying, "I'm going to 32. I'm doing that." I stuck by my word. I said, as soon like you're going, you're going, you're going, you're going. 33 this year. Like I know some people right now who they say they want to go, but that's because it's after WrestleMania and everyone has the fever. Because some people are sitting at like in my position at home watching it on TV on the network, and then there's us who went live to it. And the being there live to being watching on TV, I can't compare it. People ask me what's the difference. The differences are huge. You just can't. There's something about being in that building, 100,000 people, 70,000 people probably next year. You just can't put two and two together. Because WrestleMania is that big of a spectacle where you go and you think to yourself, hey, I'm here. It's surreal. Like the amount of emotions that run through you in that 5-hour period. This year's was varying just because of all the bullshit that got put up with. But at the same time, too, it's like, but yeah, like back to the subject. Like I even remember around this time with WrestleMania because SummerSlam's coming up in about a few weeks, 5 weeks to be exact. I could have gone for the third year in a row. I decided not to. Why? Simple. I can stay here and watch it at home. I can take other trips. That's the other thing too. Like with me, I'm not like most people on here. I work a very high profile, not high profile, but I work for a very high profile company where like wrestling, I don't really bring it up at all. I'm a fan. Like with people ask me, I honestly said like I'm going to Texas for guys. We can like for sports trip. Maybe we'll tour AT&T Stadium, which turned me a little bit more of a tour. But at the same time, because like I don't really know how people they're gonna take in the professional fans. Like, oh, you're a wrestling fan, But then eventually I found common ground with someone who was also a fan. And then, boom, I'm into him. Yeah, I was at WrestleMania. I'm going to SmackDown in a few weeks. I got my Survivor Series tickets, which I checked the mail today and didn't come in. But even then, it's just like, most people I know, like, you got to find a reason to watch. And honestly, WWE, the draft is making people watch. But from there on out, you got to keep it going. Because after SummerSlam is when shit really gets slow. Like, April and August is whatever. But between September to December is when shit gets really, really slow. I just hope from here you keep it going hard until Orlando next year. Because with Orlando, and I'm going to go back to that point, both people saying, people have the fever around this time. It gets quiet, but then in a month from now, talks are gonna get serious because you're gonna find out really who is serious about going and who is just talking about going. I'm saying like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna go. Because honestly, those trips cost a lot more money than people think. It's one of those things where, oh, yeah, it's WrestleMania. Da, da, da. You get there, it's not just buying your tickets for the show, it's not just tickets for the show. You got to get your hotel. You got to get your flights booked. Food when you're there, because you're not like the whole time. You can go to Walmart and just eat shit in the room, but still, that's going to cost money to buy. I didn't do the Walmart trip this year. Matt and I went to 7-Eleven, got a bunch of bags for the room, but there was a giant bag of chips I don't even remember eating. Or I remember eating a little bit of them. Merch. Merch is the big one. People like TJ's cousin. I remember telling him, Ravi, and I. We were hanging out one night. We went out partying, and then we're back chilling. And then initially, his name's Nish, and then he was saying like, "Oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna spend this much money." We looked at him and started laughing. And he was like, "Oh, why? I'm serious about it." I'm like, "No, because literally." And Justin has told me this time and time again leading up to 32. And I tell this to people now too from experience. You walk through the superstore doors. Your head starts spinning at 1,000,000 miles a second because you're so overwhelmed by everything that's there. And before you know it, oh, I'm going to spend $100. I spent $260 in a snap. Like literally, it's so easy because you see, I want this, I want that, I want the WrestleMania card shirt. I want the shirt that says I was there. I want this match shirt. Look, hey, this match shirt looks cool. I'm gonna grab it. Hey, you know what? Boom, this looks cool. That middle thing in the section, that thing in the middle though, where they sell the title belts and all the autographs though. If you have I have a bit of a problem. I've always wanted a belt, and I'll never forget this because it's after the day one of Access. I'm in there. I have the white Intercontinental, which I've always said for a while is the one belt I wanted to buy. I heard Matt screaming my name from across the thing, saying, "Put the title down. Put it down. It's not worth it." Because it's $400 that I could be spending on something else. I could be spending it on food and other things. Like $400 was my flight was roughly my flight was more expensive than that. But think about it, a belt that probably I would just sit here and collect dust. Because I don't go to many conventions where wrestlers are signing, so it would just sit here. Like that's the thing too, where you see people who go out and do their thing, but at the same time too, with those belts and shit, it's kind of like. Even today, like I'm seeing posts from people saying, "Oh yeah, I want to go to the draft in Worcester," like the Chicago fans. And then basically it's like, "Oh, but yeah, like I want to go here." It's like you're gonna go booking off all that work. That's the thing I realize. Life doesn't revolve around wrestling. Sure, it's a great focal point. Sure, it's a great subject, but some people gotta learn it doesn't revolve around wrestling. And even too, like when I see when I meet someone for the first time, if it's a girl that I'm interested in, I have a nervous time telling because I don't know what she's gonna think. Sometimes, one I met was like basically jealous because like used to be a fan back in the day, and then some of them too, where it's like, oh, isn't that fake? But it's like, yeah, it is. But it's like, why do you watch? It's like, it's fun. It's kind of like because I feel like everyone has that one thing in life they do where it's like, hey, they enjoy it, and if you don't like it, like either shut up, because if you say something, you're just gonna look like an asshole. Like even this, I don't know what to say anymore. Like I'm just gonna cut out here. Even when I say like, oh, I'm gonna do a video, sometimes I'm just like, I don't plan. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it this time, at this day, at this hour. No, it's, you know what, I feel like shooting my mind off. Camera, let's roll. But apart from that, I'm done right now. Gonna make some dinner, and we'll see what happens. See you guys when I see you guys.